Hi, everyone. Biohacking Blondes here, Alex and Molly, and we're here with a very special guest today. We have Leslie McGuirk. We're so excited to have you here. She is a superstar astrology expert, so we're super excited. She's an internationally acclaimed author, astrologer, artist, product creator, speaker, and advisor to numerous global thought leaders and renowned interdisciplinary medical professionals. Studying the system of astrological imprinting for more than 30 years, Leslie's level of accuracy is undeniable, and her precise and comprehensive guidance is both transformative and instructive. Her amazing book, The Power of Mercury, which I bought, by the way, by HarperCollins, explains how she sees humans as having an owner's manual or pattern, a distinctive design that can be seen. Her work in astrology and her artistic gift for identifying patterns has been recognized by several well-known Western-trained doctors as a critical element to healing, and catapulted Leslie into becoming one of the most highly sought-after experts in astrology. Hi, Leslie. We're so excited to
Hey,
have
it's so good to see you guys.
yeah, we're so excited because like Leslie actually used to live on the same street as my parents in Vero Beach, which is so awesome.
Right, and I actually am the one who told them they should live on my street. Did they ever tell you that story?
Oh no, they
They
never
were
told me
walking
that.
down the street, and I started talking with them, and I thought they were the most interesting couple. And I said, "Oh my God, you have to live on this street. There's a house for sale." And you ask them that question, they'll tell you. I basically convinced them on the street that they had to move to Vero on that street.
Oh my gosh, amazing. Well, I'll have to talk to them about that. That's really funny. But
I
they
love
miss your
that.
dogs and they miss all of the
Oh,
your
oh, thank you. I
your
miss them too.
you guys are on the same, I think, dog walking like schedule. So
Yes.
that's how my parents like interact with everybody on the street. So that's so great. And Alex knows you too. I met you. Tell how you met her.
Yeah, so I met the lovely Leslie over dinner not too long ago, actually, and I was blown away by, I'm used to, in Sweden, I used to read my astrology charts, Sagittarius, blah, 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 you're gonna have a, good week, productive, or, all of that. That's my extent of knowledge to astrology. So I was fascinated when we talked over dinner, and Leslie basically said that astrology can be a phenomenal insight into your health. And that obviously perked my, my ears really stood out when I heard that, because that's phenomenal. I didn't know that. And the other thing that Leslie told me is that if I give her exactly where I was born and the time, that's where she can really see where my health journey, or what I can do, or how I can improve my health. So I found that phenomenal. That's why we have Leslie here today, and we want to hear all about it. We want to learn more. We want our listeners to really find out what you got to offer here. So Leslie, why don't we kick off with, how did you start this journey? Tell us about, why did you get interested in this?
So when I was 19, I was having a lot of problems, emotional problems, health problems, everything. And my mom wasn't able to get any answers from regular doctors. And she knew of a woman in our neighborhood in Bronxville, New York, who had a daughter who was an astrologer in New York City. So my mom made an appointment and I went. I was 19. And in an hour and a half, that woman knew so much about me and basically gave me a roadmap for my entire life, which I followed. So she, in one 90-minute session, completely altered my life in a positive way. So I started studying it right away because I thought, what the heck was that? How did she do this? How does she know me so well? And then I've been studying it ever since and became a professional astrologer. I don't know, maybe 15 years ago, sort of reluctantly. I had been an author and illustrator of children's picture books, and I really didn't have a strong desire to be doing astrology full time, but I know I have a gift and a talent. And if I look at the highest vibration of how my chart should be operating, it's me as being more of a teacher and a healer. So I've stepped into it and it's been great. But if you had told me, 20 years ago, this is what I would be doing, I would have said there's no way. So
Yeah. Well, and also, I mean, we are so excited because, my daughter reads your books, and she collected on the beach where we live. She collected all of the letters in the the stones too, that
Yes.
that you made up that amazing book. And my daughter's like so impressed by that. She's like, Mom, we have to go find all those letters. I'm like, I don't know how we're gonna do
For 10 years,
for
tell it
10 years.
10
Yeah.
years.
I know, it's
Yeah.
incredible.
Crazy, crazy, crazy. But yeah, so that book is If Rocks Could Sing,
Yeah.
published by Random House. And then I've got all these, some of my children's books are right behind me, Tucker
Yeah.
Flips, and others. I've got 20 of them out there. But I do have this one book on astrology, The Power of Mercury, that was published by HarperCollins in 2016. And that catapulted me out into the bigger world as well. So it's been an interesting journey.
Yes. So what is your sign? I want to know that.
Okay, so I'm a Cancer, July 18th, so my birthday is coming up. But when we tell people our sun sign, I'm really not that interested in that. That's
Okay.
like me telling you that I'm a Volvo or a Toyota or a Lexus, but I don't know what color you are. I don't know if you're an SUV or a little sports car. What really tells us more about what we're like is the moon sign. So when we meet someone for the first time, we always tell everyone our sun sign. Really, what we should be telling each other is the moon sign, because the moon sign is more particular to you. It tells you how you react when you get emotionally upset. And that's the highest way to figure out if you're compatible with someone. So my moon is in Taurus, which
Ooh.
is earth. So when you look at the elements, there are 4 elements: fire, earth, air, and water. Just think about how elements go together in nature. So fire and earth, not so great, because fire destroys every tree in the forest.
Ah.
Dirt will put out fire. So if you have a relationship with someone whose moon is not elementally compatible with yours, you're going to have some difficulties. So that's why it's a little bit deeper and a little bit more interesting if you know the person's moon sign.
Ooh, cool.
How do we know
I'm a
that?
Cancer moon.
Oh, perfect. So my test of compatibility is that if we got stuck in an elevator together, we would be very, very comforting to each other, because
Oh,
your moon is in Cancer. My sun is in Cancer. So
Oh.
we reflect back. Those are the 2 planets that have light to them. So that's a really nice thing. And then earth and water are very compatible. So the ocean meets the shore, earth and water. So that's great. So whenever anyone who's out there who's single, you want to make sure you find a partner who has a moon sign that you can deal with, because otherwise it's really, really hard.
So does
How
that
do I find my moon? Oh, sorry.
No, sorry,
You
go
have to-
ahead. Go
You have
ahead.
to go to an astrologer,
How
but
do I find my moon sign? How do I know where my moon sign is?
you have to either have someone do your chart, or you could probably find it online somehow. I think there are a lot of places that do free charts. So you're a Sagittarius, right?
Yes.
Yes, but
Yes.
it means nothing to me. I know that you're feisty and fiery and strong, but your moon could be in Cancer as well. We don't know where it is. So there can be different things that balance out a human.
Does it depend on what time you were born? Is
Yes.
that what? Okay.
Date, time, and place. Yep.
Okay. Okay. Great.
I'm my sun, moon, and rising is Sagittarius, Cancer, Sagittarius. So
Wow.
and she's a Sagittarius. We have a lot of Sagittarius energy.
Yeah, but in your heart,
Doesn't-
Molly,
yeah.
you might come across as a Sagittarius, but internally you're very way sensitive and more emotional than a typical Sagittarius.
That sounds about right. Yep.
Yeah. But nobody would guess it. They wouldn't guess it because everything about you acts like a Sagittarius, which is very, very different.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so interesting. Yeah.
So when I met you, Leslie, I remember you said you did a big study with, or you challenged NYU, a doctor there, to read 10 patients' charts and to basically say to him that this is how accurate it can be. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I met Dr. Dennis Goodman at Rancho La Puerta in Mexico, where I teach. He's a South African cardiologist who was the head of integrative medicine at NYU. And he came to one of my lectures and he was fascinated. He knew nothing about astrology. And I was telling everyone in the class, people don't realize that the Hippocratic Oath that every doctor takes, they used to have a part of the Hippocratic Oath that said, if you don't understand astrology, you're not a doctor, but a fool. They took it out of the Hippocratic Oath. It was part of the wisdom of being a medical professional. So I was doing this class where I would move people around the room according to their moon signs in terms of how they emotionally react. So all the people who were like Molly and I, more mushy and emotional, would be on one side of the room, and all the fiery air people would be on the other. And people could see it in real life, how accurate it was. So he said, I want you to do my chart. This is so interesting. So I did his chart, his girlfriend's chart, and then I started working with his patients. He said, I really need your help. He said, I have these patients that I can't figure out what's the matter with them. I said, I would love to do this with you. So I said, here's the way we have to do it. You have to know I didn't Google them. I don't want to know their first name or their last name. I don't want to know their email address or their phone number. You're just going to give me a birth date, time, and a place. And then at an appointed time, they're going to meet me on a free conference call line. I don't even want to see their face, nothing. I'll
Wow.
record them and then I'll send you the recordings. The very first person that he had me do was a woman who he had been treating for 6 years, and she was in chronic pain, incredibly sick, and nobody could figure out what her problem was. And I knew exactly what it was after the very first hour. And she's been studying astrology with me for years. She's now so much better and is using astrology to now help other people. So that's my passion right now. I want to teach people how to read charts. Not that you're going to get as proficient as I am, because I've been doing this for a long time, but I can get people up and running after 8 hours to be able to read a chart and know enough to be able to get the basics of their health issues and where they have imbalances. And basically what this woman had that went undiagnosed was something called tension myositis syndrome, which is something that Dr. John Sarno came up with many years ago. Do you know his book? If you don't, you should definitely get it. It's called The Mind-Body Connection.
Okay.
And
Yep.
Dr. John Sarno said that there are a lot of people walking around with major pain and injuries that nobody can figure out. And a lot of it's because of this syndrome. So it's a little bit like when people get their legs amputated, they have that phantom pain and it's still real. It's a little bit like that. But until you get a handle on this thing, you can be extremely sick and have many surgeries and never get better.
Yeah. Wow.
So
So
yeah.
what did she end up doing? What were some of the things that you recommended for her to do to get better?
Well, the number one thing I said is you have trauma-induced chronic pain.
Yeah.
I'm an expert on finding trauma. I knew exactly where the trauma was. If it happens under the age of 5, that's the hardest to treat because then you don't really have the words to explain anything. If you go under anesthesia under the age of 5, you will develop post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, which often goes undiagnosed. So if you
Wow.
don't get to the root cause of what the trauma is, what happens is that, like that famous book, The Body Keeps the Score, your body will start developing all these health issues to try to compensate for the trauma that never got treated. And there's another book that's great called Healing Trauma by, I think it's Peter Levine. And he talks a lot about children under the age of 5 who go under anesthesia and what happens to them, but also what trauma does to the human body. So anyway, back to this woman, I had to find the original root cause. If you don't get to the root cause, it's like chopping down a tree that you want to take out, but it keeps shooting up new roots because you didn't dig out the root. So we got to the root cause, and then I highly suggested that she learn more about that tension myositis syndrome, and she needed to do EMDR therapy, which I'm a huge fan of. Do you guys know what that is?
Oh yeah. I've done a lot of it.
Yes.
I love it.
It's the
For
only thing
PTSD.
that can really help. So think about your astrology chart as being like a piece of music. And my job is just to play the piece of music back for you and tell you how to play it at the highest frequency, the best. There's like a good way to play music, and there's a clunky, immature, primitive way to play it. But if you don't have an astrologer telling you what kind of musical score you have, you're basically lost your whole life. You don't really know how to navigate, especially if you're born with rap music and you grow up in a family with all classical music people. You're going to be very misunderstood. You're going to feel like something's the matter with you. And it's because most of us, we just see our world from our own perspective, and we don't realize until studying astrology, which I call the language of compassion, you realize that everyone is completely different and everyone's beautiful in their own way. And we don't get mad at animals. Like we don't get mad at a porcupine for having quills or a giraffe for having a long neck, but we'll treat humans with a lot of disdain if they're not quite just like us.
Yeah. That's amazing. I had never really thought of it that way, but as a practitioner, I'm a functional practitioner now, and I do a lot of work in nutrition and supplements. And I also do a lot of work with like diet, rest, exercise, stress management, all of that stuff. But all of that stuff is informed by your trauma, right? It's like,
Yeah.
like, like how you deal with stress seems to be the part that always comes up. And I was actually talking to a client this morning, and I was telling her about bilateral meditation, which is actually similar to EMDR.
Right.
You can play that, you can like lay down with headphones and play that, and it gives you like that rapid eye movement, way to kind of calm your brain during the day, because so many of us are like racing around without, you never stop to like think and connect and do
Right.
all of this stuff. So it's really cool. I love what you do. Maybe you can give us like a little bit of insight into like, I don't know how you feel, Alex, about us being Sagittarius. I bet you're not a Cancer like moon, Alex.
For me, I have no
Yeah,
idea.
I feel like
You
you
can,
must be like an air or a fire or another.
yeah, I totally agree with you. I don't know you that well, but I totally agree with you. She's like, if you're upset, let's figure out a solution and get going. She's very, so her moon is like, whereas people who have their moon in water or earth, they're like, oh, let me cradle you and take your time until you feel better. And she's like, no, we're doing this
No.
now. Let's go.
We're doing
Yeah.
it now. We're
Yeah.
just going, okay? Just sort it out. We're going.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. That's
Yeah,
a fire.
totally.
I'm pretty sure you have a fire moon, but we don't know
Yeah.
yet because I'm not looking at your chart. But yeah,
Yeah,
it sounds like it.
we're going to have so Leslie, why don't you kind of take us through if a patient or a client comes to you, how does it work, and then what do you do? Just talk us through kind of how do you work.
Okay, so I do either 30-minute sessions or hour-long sessions, and the person gives me their birth date, time, and place. That's very important. If you don't have the birth time, I'm still accurate, but with the birth time, I'm 95% accurate or higher. Without it, like 75.
Yeah.
So basically, I send the person, my assistant sends them their chart, their piece of music, and I meet them on a phone call. I don't do it on Zoom because I don't want to see my clients. I don't want them to feed me visual information. I don't want to know anything about the person. I don't want to know if they're married, have kids, what their job is. I want to tell them exactly what they look like. I can tell people how their house is decorated, what kind of clothes they wear. I can tell them everything about their childhood, their mother. I mean, it is so intensely personal. And it's all right there. We are literally born with an owner's manual.
Wow.
And it's exactly what you have in your car glove compartment. It doesn't predict the future. It tells you how best to operate given that owner's manual. But if you tell me you have a gasoline engine and you put diesel in it, I will predict you're going to break down. If you have a Ferrari and you have it stuck in the garage, I'm going to predict you're going to be miserable. So astrology can be predictive, but no more predictive than anything else. Like I can predict that a basset hound will lose a race with a greyhound because of their design. Okay, so that's where astrology got off on the wrong track and became more about horoscopes and fortune telling and predicting the future, which I am not a big fan of. I don't actually think it's helpful, and it's not what astrology was designed to be. It used to be that astrology and astrologers were the highest, wisest people in the land. So the three magi, the kings who found baby Jesus, those were actually astrologers. The word magi means astrologers. Most people don't know that.
Oh, wow.
And yes,
Wow.
most of our language is totally derived from the world of astrology. In that, just take one example, like the word lunar, which has to do with the moon. A lot of words that we have, like lunatic, lunacy, they're all related to the moon because the moon regulates our emotions, because emotions are water, tears are water. And the moon is a rock in space that regulates every body of water on Earth. So the tides go up and down according to the cycles of the moon, and we're 80% water. So that's why people go a little more crazy and animals will howl or whatever during a full moon, because we're being pulled on by these planets, not just by the moon, but by all of them. They all have an electromagnetic pattern that we are under the influence of. And so astrology has been around for thousands of years. It's an esoteric science. It's not a hard science. It's an interpreted art, just like acupuncture. So, 50 years ago, acupuncture was not part of, Blue Cross Blue Shield. Now it is.
Right.
One day, probably not too far in the future, because I've had so many, mostly neurologists, interested in what I'm doing and coming to take my class. I've had, in one class, I had like 8 neurologists in my class,
Yeah.
very high level people, because they had heard about me and their friends had had a reading, then they had a reading, and they're obsessed with figuring out, how does this work? How can you know so much about the human body? So they're, of course, on the cutting edge. And if a doctor can use astrology as a tool, I cannot imagine treating somebody without knowing their basic pattern, their basic piece of music. So you guys should definitely both take my class if you're going to, especially, I mean, just because of the world that you're in, I just think it's a foundational thing that helps understand the person that you're dealing with.
Yeah, absolutely. Like before I meet a client, I'd be like, what is your sun, moon, and rising sign?
You would want to know. And then what you would also want to know, I just did a class recently about the elements. So there are 4 elements in everyone's chart. So again, get back to the car metaphor. You're just a car. You come into my shop and I'm not driving it. I don't own the key.
Yeah.
And I can just tell you the way your car is designed. I'm going to lift up under the hood. I'm going to look at all the machinery. I'm going to tell you what kind of car you are. I'm going to then look at your 4 tires, and the 4 tires are filled with elements. So every human being has the potential to have fire, earth, air, and water. So most people are driving around with 4 tires properly inflated. But some of us, I'm one of them, I was born with 1 tire completely flat. I have absolutely no air in my chart at all. And it shows up as a health thing for me. I had sinus surgery twice in my life. Even when I talk, you'll notice I don't breathe. I just go. Like I don't understand the space between things really well. So I have to watch it. I have to really work at breathing and slowing down. It's just something that doesn't come naturally to me. So it can also be a huge gift. So some astrologers feel that when you're missing an element, it's because you're an expert in the very thing you're missing. So you're like, I don't need to do that this lifetime. I already got it covered, which makes sense because astrology is a very air sign subject matter. I mean, like, think about it. It's all about planetary space, air, space. And that's sort of my gift. I have a knack for reading charts, and some of it's probably a inborn, maybe a past life gift. I don't know.
I'm sure it is. Is there,
yeah.
So how does it work exactly? Like when you say like someone doesn't have air in their chart, does that mean, is that sun, moon, rising, is that all of the planets, meaning you don't have
all
air
of the planets?
Okay.
So here's how astrology works. Think about all of those planets as being like Easter eggs, and each of them is going to get dyed into a zodiac sign. A zodiac sign is a constellation. It's a star formation. So think of the sky as being up here, and all these stars are up in the sky. And then these planets, at the moment you take your first breath, it's a picture of where they were. They plop into the sky. That's why when we say your Mars is in Gemini and your Venus is in Leo, it's because those planets, like Easter eggs, were plopped into those zodiac patterns. And when you add them all up, each one of those zodiac patterns comes in a flavor: fire, earth, air, or water. So when I was born, none of all the planets, not one of them plopped into a constellation that is an air sign. So I don't have any Gemini, Libra, or Aquarius in my chart.
Wow, that is so.
So when I meet people who have that, it's like sucking up onto a oxygen tank. The other place where it shows up as a really great thing for me is when I'm on air. I do really well on television or podcast or radio because I'm on air right now with you guys. So I'm like floating in the world of air, which is what I need. I need to be on air. That's why I live in homes that have high ceilings. I live in a tree house here in New Hampshire. I'm way up high in the trees. I have bird feeders everywhere. I try to bring the element that I'm missing into my life with intention so that I stay balanced. Otherwise, it's not pretty. Like, I get incredibly claustrophobic. That's another sign of people who have no air. Like that. Elevators, oh, forget. I'd rather walk, 30 flights than take an elevator.
Oh, that's
I'm a little bit claustrophobic, so maybe that's really
you might not have any air either. You might just have a ton of fire. I don't know, but yeah, it will show up as a health thing. So a lot of times when people have things with their body that they can't diagnose, a lot of times a clue will be to check their elements. So it's like lifting up a car. the hood and looking at 4 vials that are filled with, metaphorically speaking, fire, earth, air, and water, I cannot imagine treating somebody without knowing, oh my God, you have no fire, which means you're not pumping, the blood through your body. Is people who have low fire, they've got to work out, they've got to sweat. Usually they hate sweating. You haven't, like, I don't like it when
Aversion
people
to it.
want me to
Yeah.
breathe. Like taking a breath workshop is my idea of hell. So, but I
Right.
need it. I should do it. So when I tell people with no fire, you need to sweat and work out and do a sauna, they're like, oh, I hate that. Or people who have no water, they don't want to drink water. They hate water.
Oh, that's so
Isn't that interesting? So that's how you can then help people and they can optimize kind of their health through
Yes.
knowing, right?
Oh, it's so
Yeah.
important. Like I completely know every day I got to get my oxygen in. So I do a lot of yoga and swimming. Swimming is actually an air sport because it's water and air, because if you don't turn your head, you're going to die. You have to breathe.
Wow, that's
And so what
phenomenal.
else is really cool? I just came back from Mexico where I was teaching some advanced students. I do it once a year. And there's one guy in the class who has no fire at all. And guess
Wow.
what his profession was in San Francisco for years? He was a fireman. Perfect.
Wow.
So he's
A lot of
totally
Olympic swimmers have no water. All the beauty queens who are known for their bodies, body is earth. So we're just going to turn to earth when we die. Farrah Fawcett Majors, Elizabeth Taylor, Marilyn Monroe, a couple of the Kardashians, they all have no earth.
Wow.
And Donald Trump has no earth, which is very interesting because he did beauty pageants, which is like he's the body, or he's also real estate, which is earth. So he's craving the very thing he doesn't have.
Wow, fascinating. Oh, I can't wait to have you read my chart. I got to do it. I just got to reach the tax authorities of Sweden to know when I was born.
What time?
I don't
Yeah.
know.
Good luck. You know what's really scary? I just found out. It used to be every hospital in the United States was keeping track of the time people were born, and now you can't get it. They're not doing that anymore.
Yeah,
Why is
I
that?
don't think that was written down anywhere when my daughter was born, if I
Yeah,
recall.
it's very, very strange. I don't know what's going on with that, but that's weird.
Yeah.
Huh. Wow, that's crazy. So, tell us a little bit more about your book, like the book that you wrote, the astrology book. What is that, a kind of a quick course as well to learn about your work and learn about
Yes.
astrology?
Yeah, so it's a very easy book to read. It'll take you 45 minutes to read it. The first half of the book is about how I look at astrology. I explain what it is and how it works in a very simple way. I'm all about making things fun and easy to understand using metaphor. Probably because I write and illustrate children's books, I figured out a way to make complicated things fun and easy to digest. So the second half of the book is just years where you can find your year of birth and find your birth date and find out your Mercury sign. And so the rest of the book is about a comparison of your description of your Mercury sign, which tells me how you speak. Okay, so if I speak with a fire sign, I'm going to be very direct and aggressive and really great at fighting. My Mercury happens to be in Cancer, which is very soft. I hate fighting. If people yell at me, I get really upset. So it's a very, very soft thing, which is great as an astrologer because I'm kind to people and I'm really careful with words. But if you put me in a relationship, like I once was engaged to a guy whose Mercury was in fire and water, guess what? Not great. He had a temper. I verbally don't have a temper. So it became something where I realized I can't live with this. It's not that he's bad, but it wasn't right for me. And I think the reason I wrote the book, originally it was going to be called The Secret Language of Romance, because I felt that it should be a book everyone who's single should have on their bedside table. Because if you're dating people, you need to know, you don't have to know much, you just need to know their birth date and year. Don't ask people you barely know for their time and place of birth, because
That's awkward. That's a little too much, maybe.
it's too much. Yeah, don't ever do that. You
No.
can just casually find out when their birthday is and figure out their year or whatever. But you can find out their Mercury sign. And then it's like comparing spices, like your paprika and he's
Right.
cinnamon. How does that work together? And so there are 144 combinations in the book, and
Wow.
it's incredibly helpful also for parents with their children. If you have communication issues with one of your kids, or a parent, or a friend, or a boss, or a colleague, if you can understand it, then you can deal with it.
Yeah.
And that's why, again, I say it's the language of compassion. If you realize, oh my God, my daughter can't help it. She's designed to have a tongue filled with fire, and she's not trying to hurt me. It's just the way she's designed. And then all of a sudden you don't take it personally.
Wow. That's amazing.
Wow.
There's a book, there should be a book for moms then. Like,
I
how to
know.
talk to your kids.
I know. Well, and I've actually saved parents' relationships with their children just from that one book.
Wow.
Because again, I was in Mexico teaching, and take a group of like 60 people and I move them around the room according to how they use words, how they talk. Are you a fiery talker, or are you a watery talker? Earth and air, all over different places. Fire and air get along great. Earth and water get along great. It's when you start crossing them, that's not so easy. So the parent, this mother and daughter, they had a terrible relationship their whole life. They left my class crying, hugging each
Wow.
other. And they literally said, you changed our life. We understand now. They always thought that the other person was trying to torture them.
Right. That's
Wow.
always
Wow.
the feeling. Yeah. Yeah. But now it's like, I understand you. I know where you're coming from.
Yeah. So it's
And
like,
yeah.
if you get a Jack Russell Terrier and it's a yappy dog, you can't be upset with it that they're high strung, sometimes yappy. It's just,
Yeah.
if you get a
Right.
basset hound and you're angry because it's not going to want to go running with you around the block.
Right.
We,
Yeah.
but we do this to people. We get mad at people because they're not what we want them to be. So
Right.
once you understand, so the daughter had a sharp tongue, and the mother was always offended by the daughter. And now I said, look, you just have to realize that the fire that comes out of her makes her aggressive and strong. And yes, it can hurt you and it burns, but just don't take it personally. She's got a dragon mouth, and that's what it is. And she has to watch where the fire goes. Fire is great as long as it's in the fireplace or it's used for cooking food. But if it's running rampant and destroying an entire forest fire and killing animals, then it's bad.
Yeah.
Mm. Leslie, what is your vision moving forward? If you could dream really big, where would your teachings and you be? Would you see yourself in every hospital in America, in every tell us a little bit about that. Where would you like
Well,
to
the number one thing I'm obsessed with right now is helping young people. There's a very serious mental health crisis
oh,
going on right now.
Yeah.
oh,
I just, and also the addiction world. I know I could help so many people who have addictions. I don't believe talking about stuff is necessarily always the answer. I'm not saying it's bad, but even astrology is a talking thing. I'm saying an astrologer needs to give absolutely physical things to do to help recalibrate somebody. So whether it's EMDR therapy or balancing out their diet with the elements, there are things that people can do, but it's mostly if you can give the gift of compassion, of understanding why you are the way you are. Like someone like Robert Downey Jr. has a very, very complicated chart, and he is 100% prone to being an addict, but he
Right.
doesn't have to be. I have a really gnarly chart myself. That astrologer saved my life when I was 19, because I could have very easily have not survived if it wasn't for her, because when my chart is difficult, it's really hard. And I have a very narrow path I can stay on. And as long as I stay on that path, I do great. But thank God somebody told me, because my parents didn't have a clue. Most parents don't have a clue. They
Yeah.
give birth to someone and they don't even understand half the time what that kid is about, because how
Yeah.
could they? They're different than what they think they should be. So one of the story about kids that I could tell you that happened is a couple actually in Vero Beach. They had a son who was 16 and he was laying on the couch all the time, just kind of a loser energy. Not that he was a loser, but that's how they looked at him.
Yeah.
Tried therapy, they tried all sorts of things. They couldn't reach him. And they didn't believe in astrology, but they liked me. And they said, well, nothing else works, so come over. But they were very kind of brushing me aside, like, we don't really think this is going to work, but come over. So I looked at their charts and I knew 100% I could help them. Both parents were very aggressive fire people. They were type A people all the way through. They had one child, this boy, and he was all water. Okay. Water with two fire parents. They were putting him out. They were evaporating him. Water can't sustain that level of fire. And then he would put them out too and just be on the couch and go ploop, put out their fire. So they were at a standstill. So I realized that these parents really only respected fiery things and they like things that are fast and quick. And I thought, all right, he's from the world of water. We need to get him in a pool because he probably, if he's in his natural element, will probably be able to be fast. And that's what his parents like. They like things that are fast and quick and successful and strong and masculine. And it was the complete opposite of that. So the mother said, well, he doesn't really know how to swim. I said, I don't care. Get him in a pool. You got to start right now. He's getting a late start, but he's probably going to be a natural swimmer. Within a year or two, he was doing really well, winning state championships. And he ended up going to college on I think he got a swimming scholarship, but he went to a really good school in New England and became this Greek god with this gorgeous chiseled body. And I think to myself, if I hadn't given them that one suggestion, what would have happened to him?
His whole trajectory would have changed completely.
Right.
Yeah.
And then another Vero Beach story. Somebody called me crying, said, my son is a complete mess. He's living at home. He doesn't have a job. He's smoking pot. He's drinking. I don't know what it was. Just nothing was good. Okay. Yeah. I said, listen, I want to help him. I said, this is my favorite age group to work with because that's the age I was when I got helped. Yeah. So I told this kid exactly what he needed to do. I said, look, it's not going to be fast. This is like turning around the big yacht, you have to do it slowly. But if you do everything I tell you, you're going to be fine. You're going to be more than fine. You're going to be very successful and great. And they saved this recording. And I just talked to the mother yesterday and she was just sobbing on the phone. She said, Leslie, everything you said was 100% right. And he did everything you told him. And he's now married, incredibly successful, and has a child who's born genetically cheerful.
Wow.
But what would have happened if I hadn't told him what to do? And that's where I get really upset and frustrated because it's only me. I can't just have me being one by one helping people. I'm training people in my Astrology Wisdom Academy. I've got some advanced students who hopefully pretty soon will be able to take over and do some of this work and help other people. Yeah. But it's not something you can, I don't think it's safe to show your chart to someone who doesn't really know how to read it. So you have to be careful. You have to be very careful who you go to.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are amazing stories. I've never really heard that before, that you have to kind of go in that sort of opposite direction, but it's funny how you're like resistant to it. Yes. So what is that about? Why is there a resistance to going towards what you need to?
I don't know exactly why. I just think it's, like I said, maybe I've done enough air in another lifetime that I felt like I didn't do it now. So, but it's definitely something I physically feel in my life. But I always tell people, if you're ever going to travel with me in an airplane, you are going to be so lucky because I'm meant to be in the air. So I don't ever worry about planes crashing or anything like that. Like airplanes are good for me, being up in the sky, but I have to sit in an aisle seat because I'm claustrophobic and I don't want to be stuck. But it's so stupid. I'm in a metal tube. Like I'm claustrophobic if I really think about it. But as long as I can see out.
That's hilarious.
Down the aisle, not out the window, because out the window I have to climb over two people to get out. But I have to see down the aisle. It's like, thank God I don't.
Is that how you are, Alex, too?
Yeah, I'm a little bit like that too. Yeah, but I'm getting over my claustrophobia, Leslie. I'm totally getting over it. And cold plunging has helped me tremendously because you just say to yourself, surrender. It is what it is, kind of like you just got to surrender. That's really helpful, I think, for people that if you apply where you feel in that cold plunge, if you apply it to when you're on the airplane and you're freaking out and you just say, okay, all right, it's gonna okay, go into panic then, go into that claustrophobia mode and just kind of, let it play out. And when you say that to yourself, it doesn't play out because you allow yourself to feel it and then you won't feel it.
That's good. That's
That's a
exactly, that's what moon and Cancer people do for people. They allow the person to feel the emotion. They don't try to fix it. So
right.
it may be you don't have your moon in fire. I don't know, because what you just described is like, be patient with yourself. Let all the feelings come out.
Wow, that just happens once in a while, but
Well, okay, well, so, all right, we still make
yeah.
things. So let me tell you a story about my sister who has her moon in fire.
Oh,
And my moon is in earth. Okay. So fire and earth, not so easy. Okay. My mom had died and it was the 1 year anniversary. And I called her up. She lives in Pennsylvania. I was in Florida. I called her up and I said, I'm really having a tough time. I'm so sad. My mom, mom's died a year ago and I miss her and I just feel so sad. And I was really upset. And she, with her fire, came in and wanted to evaporate I spewed all my emotions, which were like a little puddle of water. She came in with the fire and said, but Leslie, this is not a time to be upset. This is a time to celebrate her life. We're so lucky she died in her sleep. She didn't have to go to a nursing home. This isn't a time to be sad. You should be cheerful and great. And she was like, oh my God, I wanted to throw the phone across the room. She was not wrong. Okay. She was doing what a fire moon person does. But I had to explain to her, and she literally had to take my class. I said,
yeah.
Donna, you need to understand that when I get upset, I can't do what you want me to do because I'm not there yet. I'm feeling. And by the way, people who have their moon in water and earth, they're considered more exalted in rulership. It's where that's the more comfortable place to be. We're not supposed to just get rid of everything we feel. So when parents don't understand where their child's moon is, they
Mm,
could be really causing some problems for that kid.
that is so interesting. Yeah, because you have to understand their emotions
Yes, and if you
to,
don't, then what the heck are we doing? So anyway,
yeah.
back to your question, who do I want to help? I want to help mothers and fathers with their kids. I want to help teenagers who are lost and scared and don't know if they have any talent. They feel worthless. I'm terrified of what's happening to kids with cell phones and not
Yes.
communicating with each other. They're not connected to nature. There's a wonderful book called The Last Child in the Woods, which is
Mhm.
really good to educate people about how important nature is for our health. We cannot function as human beings without a connection to this earth and this planet we're on, which also includes the stars and the planets above. We're connected there as well, but most people never think about it.
Yeah.
But not only are we driving our car, we have weather. The planets are doing stuff to us right now. So an astrologer can see the patterns of where things are going. So I was on Coast to Coast Radio about, I don't know, 3 or 4 months before the pandemic happened. And I literally on the show with George Norrie said in January of 2020, I think that was when it started. I said, we're going to have something that's going to totally change life as we know it. I said, I have no idea what it is. I said, it's like this thing is coming, this astrological event, and everything's going to turn upside down. And I said, all I know is that it has something to do with the element of air. So I said, I don't think it's a tsunami. I don't think it's fire. I don't think it's an earthquake. It's something air. Well, sure enough, what was it? An airborne virus.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So Leslie, yeah, what do you see now then? What do you see now going
Well,
forward?
this year, obviously coming up to this election is just absolutely, people are absolutely terrified. Both, I don't care what side you're on, people are terrified.
Yeah.
It's not going to really get better until 2026.
Mm.
This election is going to be really close. I think I don't want to get into politics. I don't want, it's hard for me to not say what I believe, what I'm afraid of. So I don't want to go there, but I just want people to know that this is a very difficult time and things are very confusing for people.
Yeah, absolutely. It's
Yeah.
But I think we're going to be okay.
Yeah.
okay.
So,
Okay,
so
that's
you
good.
see the rough before the storm. You see basically a roughage, like for next year and a half, is going to be tough times.
Yes. So it doesn't really start to settle down until middle to end of 2026, but that's what I'm keeping my focus on. It
Mhm.
looks like it's going to be okay, but I've predicted the last 3 elections. I was 100% right, even when everyone thought I was crazy. So I
Who is winning? Who is winning this election? You know that? Have you predicted that? Seriously?
I have, yeah. I think it's going to be Biden, and I think it's, or whoever, now we don't even know if he's running. So like I said, everything's crazy,
Yeah.
but it's going to be really, really, really close. And it'll be just like the last time up until the very end. Then all of a sudden, I think and then there's going to be a lot of upset afterwards. No matter who wins, there's going to be huge upsets. People are going to be very, very, very upset either way.
Yeah. I also feel like just there's this whole post-COVID tsunami that has happened, especially like in the health world. I feel like there's so many people who are more sick now. And part of that is from, being locked in away for so long, and then the virus itself and all of the vaccines and all the things, just this combination. And then on top of that, we've got cell phones and kids growing up in this weird era where they have social media and they have all this stuff. And it just feels like a very chaotic time where there's no structure. Like there's nothing really keeping us all together. It's like everyone's just like floating and out, I feel that's my personal feeling. Like it's just,
Right.
there's a lot of chaos right now.
So
And I'm
guess
like,
what I think?
yeah,
I totally agree with you. Because it used to be like churches would hold that
yeah.
job for people. Those aren't really working because that's, a lot of them have been corrupted, and people
Mhm.
used to feel safe with certain politicians. That's been corrupted. So we don't really have social structures that make people feel like they're okay. But I believe the one thing that does give this to humans is astrology.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
can make sense of it all, and I can talk about people. I can talk about Donald Trump and Joe Biden from astrological perspectives and explain them in terms of how they're wired without making, I have compassion for people. They can't help what they are. I've said this all
Yeah.
the way through this talk. But there's some personality traits that are more difficult for some of us than others. Just like I wouldn't choose to have a basset hound, but that's just not my
Right.
kind of dog. But it doesn't mean it's a bad dog.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's just they're so different. I wish humans showed up like dogs, like in more obvious like so
That
when
would be
you saw
so much.
them, you'd be like, okay, that's a basset hound, or okay, that's a what
I know that would, but see, that's what, as an astrologer, once I teach people astrology,
Yeah.
you look at the world through an astrological lens. That's it. You're done. You see everybody. You're going to want to know the birth charts of everybody in your life. And now all of a
Yeah.
sudden, what it does is it brings peace, because all of a sudden you're like, oh, no wonder my father's that way. No
Yeah.
wonder my parents are this way. No wonder my daughter's like that. You can even
Yeah.
do an astrological chart for your dog if you know when the dog is born. I once got a Norfolk Terrier when I was like 32, because my dog Tucker had died. And I got this dog, purebred dog, which I don't do now. I only rescue. But this purebred dog he was a Sagittarius, and he had like 5 planets in Sagittarius. And I looked at his chart and I thought, this dog is not going to be easy for me because I'm so watery and earthy. I have fire, but it's like, and guess what? That dog was so hard for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
It wasn't a good fit. And I let someone who was with me talk me into getting him. But the dog, I believe dogs choose their owners.
Oh,
And
interesting.
you have to listen so that animal picks you. And
Oh.
I think that's true even in the human relationship world. I think there's something about being chosen.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. Can you tell us a little bit? I've just always been curious. Tell us a little bit about, since you wrote a book called Mercury,
Sure.
tell us a little bit about Mercury in retrograde, because I hear that all the time now. It
And
feels like everyone
nobody,
and their mother is like, oh, it's
Yeah.
Mercury in retrograde. That's why my computer's not working, or my
oh,
Zoom
it's like, it's
call
so
didn't work."
ridiculous. That's why I wrote the book, because I thought, oh my God, there's so much nonsense out there. I mean,
Yeah,
astrology is such a serious topic for me. It
right,
can change a person's life. And then there are people talking about, oh, my computer's not working because of
right.
I mean, it's stupid. You're going to let a rock in space dictate just because someone says it's going backwards. I mean, it's insanity. So the reason
Yeah.
I wrote the book is because we are under the influence of these planets, and
Mhm.
20% of us, including myself, were born when Mercury was retrograde. Mercury retrograde means that at that time, it looks like the planet's going backwards in the sky. So
Okay.
the early people, the early astrologers thought, oh, that must be ominous and bad because it's going in reverse. It's not really, it's an optical illusion.
Right.
So when it goes in reverse, for me, it's my good time because I'm naturally in reverse.
Oh,
When it goes direct, I feel the way the rest of you do when it's retrograde.
That's so interesting.
So yeah, so you need to know. So my book, you have to look up, are you a Mercury retrograde baby? Very important, because when it's retrograde, you want to move forward. So what if you take what I just said and extrapolate it out? That would mean if I'm only good when it's retrograde, that means 80% of the year I feel the way you guys do when it's retrograde, meaning I will have my computer break down, my car won't work, I shouldn't sign a contract. I cannot live my life that way.
Right.
That's not what you're supposed to do. What you're supposed to do during Mercury retrograde, if you were born during a time when it was direct, you're supposed to think of it like your car. You put it into reverse. Thank God you have reverse, because then you can get it out of your garage. You can parallel park. You can do all these things. So
Right.
it's about going in reverse so that you can go forward, so that you can review, reorganize, readjust. Any RE words are what you're supposed to do during Mercury retrograde.
Oh,
But for
cool.
me, I'm supposed to be doing all those words 80% of the time. It's only
Wow.
during Mercury retrograde that I can go full speed ahead.
Well, it seems like it happens a lot. So
Happens
doesn't it?
happens 3 times a year for a
Oh, only
couple of
3
weeks.
times a year. Okay, but it happens for like a lengthy period, right? Like a
Yeah, it's
month
a
or
couple of
something.
weeks. It's
Oh, a
like
couple
3
weeks.
weeks.
Okay. Okay. I feel like I might be more like you. I feel like I was maybe born during that time
You
too.
should, yeah. Well, look in the book. You have my book, The Power of Mercury. You can
Yeah.
find out your
Okay.
Mercury retrograde. Just look up your birthday in the back, and then
Okay.
you can go from there.
Okay. Perfect.
I'm getting the book for sure. I'm going to start
You're gonna be
studying.
obsessed now. You're gonna look up your kids. You're gonna look up your husband,
Yes,
your brother.
exactly. I'd be obsessed. This is why you are the way you are. Okay.
Yeah, no, and that. So what I do with so if people get the Mercury book, you're just going to learn about communication. Don't get confused. We're not talking about emotions. We're not talking about your sexuality, just how you use words, how you talk with people.
Okay.
So if what I do when I'm teaching is we take each one of these planets, the moon is your emotions, and then we figure out, okay, where is your moon in relationship to everyone else in your life? And are you compatible? Just using the elemental stuff, you can learn a lot about people.
Mm, love that.
Fascinating.
So like I
Let's,
said, I could talk to you for 8 hours on this topic, obviously.
I know. We love
I'm
it.
like obsessed with sharing what I know, because there aren't many people talking about it the way that I
no, it's
do.
not. It's
Yeah.
not. I mean, that's why it's so fascinating to have you on here, because I think both Molly and I, we know very little about this, and the audience as well. It's and just like what you said and how it relates to health. I mean, it relates to your entire life, really, and how you can optimize. And as
Yeah,
biohackers, we're always looking to optimize. So
it's a
this,
great word. That's what it is. It can tell you what you were designed to do,
yeah.
uh, what job you should be in. Also, there's something super cool called an astrocartography map, where you look at all the globe and the planetary lines go through all the planet, and you can see where you should be living and where places are good. And some places are literally bad for you.
Mm, I believe in that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I for sure. That's cool. Can you tell us a little bit about too, like I always feel like everyone has their thing that they're interested in. Like some people love astrology, some people love enneagrams, some people love that 16 personalities, but everybody kind of finds their little place. So what is kind of the difference, like numerology, enneagram, like are these is astrology kind of like the base of that, and those things proliferated after astrology came along?
No,
How does it work?
so I've studied all of those, by the way. So when people get a reading with me, it's so much beyond just astrology. Like I understand the Enneagram really well. Numerology, I know pretty well as well. They're all ancient wisdom. The Enneagram, I think, is from the ancient Sufis. But that's super accurate. There are 9 personality types. It's very, very good. People should definitely study that. But that's not as technically accurate as when you go really, really deep. Astrology goes into so many other things. So those are a little bit more superficial than astrology. Astrology is literally a science, and it's
Right.
complicated. It's like 3-dimensional tic-tac-toe on steroids. It's really complicated.
Yeah.
But it's like if it's like music, there's some pieces of music that if you sit down to a piano, it could take you a lifetime to perfect it. And some people are born with like simple little jingles,
Yeah.
and those people have really simple, pleasant lives, but they're not that interesting.
Yeah. It's
Well,
true.
there's nothing wrong with that. It's just they're taking a vacation in this lifetime. But the people who do great things on this planet usually have difficult charts
Right.
because the chart gives you muscles that you have to build. And so my chart, the reason I'm a good astrologer is because I've had my passport stamped in hell a few times. So I understand pain and suffering, and I understand how to meet people where they are. Without that, how could I help people? I've had a lot of health issues too. So
Mhm.
I'm pretty obsessed with trying to help people get better because every doctor said to me, we don't know how to help you. I mean, I spent
Yeah.
years being sick and nobody could figure it out. So that's why I'm so excited about what you guys are doing too. And I want to get you guys on my podcast next to talk about it because I want to share you with my crew of people out there because I think we all
Absolutely.
need to just keep spreading the word.
Yeah.
I mean, I think both Molly and myself, we are doing what we're doing because we were also very sick. So same type of thing, just that we are approaching it from a different angle. But I
Yes.
think all of us together, that's, you know, a beautiful marriage, right? So, you know,
Yeah.
you got to look at health and wellness is from all different angles. And like you said, you are the manual. So
Yeah, and
that's
you have to be able to understand where people are coming from if you're going to help them as a health provider in any capacity. Like, if I was never sick in my entire life and I was sitting
yeah,
trying to help sick people, I just don't know
oh,
what I wouldn't get it. I wouldn't.
you don't
So
get it.
you
You
don't
wouldn't get
really
what it means.
know.
You
Yeah.
can't, and it's that doesn't mean. I mean, I'm sure there are plenty of doctors that are really, really good that have never had health issues, but for the most part, true healers have usually had their passport stamped in hell.
Yeah.
So
Correct.
you have to have gone through it and come out the other side. So for me, I like hanging out with people who have that passport because I know they'll understand me better.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it's like they look at me like, what? What's you, you have such a weird life or whatever they say. Yeah,
Yeah.
guess what? That's what makes it interesting.
Correct. I couldn't agree more. So to closing, unless you have any other
No, good.
questions, Molly, Leslie, tell the audience where can they find you? How do they sign up to your things? Where do they buy books? What, like, how can we get more of you?
Yes.
So the number one thing people should do if they want a reading is just email me at leslie@lesliemcguirk.com and they can see my name right there, McGuirk. Just email me, tell me that you were listening to this podcast, and my assistant Lindsay can set you up for a reading, or you can go to my website and do it all online. That's another thing. But definitely what you want to do though is write to me or contact me through my website. Just click info or contact and get on my mailing list because I can send you all the offerings. There are things, simple things you can do like buying, $25, $50 classes or doing the whole shebang of learning how to read a natal chart by joining my astrology academy. I can also send you links to join my astrology club, which is open to the public. It's a Facebook group, and that is a great free way to just get astrological knowledge and join in the conversation. People can ask me questions and get feedback. But it's the most important thing is to start dipping your toes into this world of astrology and see if I'm a good fit for you or have a reading, whatever. But yeah, contact me either directly or through the website.
And the website again is,
It's my name, LeslieMcGuirk.com.
and the book, sorry, the book, where can they buy that?
Oh, so where, Amazon or wherever your local bookstore, hopefully if you have an independent bookstore near you, buy it there. But most of us don't anymore. So yeah, it's just called The Power of Mercury. And you can get that or any of my children's books if you're interested in them. They're all on Amazon as well.
And they're all at the book center in Vero.
Oh,
Is
they
that
are. Oh, good.
Yeah.
Hopefully they have a section there.
Yes, they should for sure. Absolutely.
Good.
Well, so tell me how long does it take to do because I'm really interested in learning it for sure, like doing your academy. So how long does that take? Is that
8 hours.
that's it? Just an
That's it.
8-hour thing.
8
Okay.
hours. So it's 2 hours. It's the next one, the beginner class,
Oh.
Astrology 101 starts in August and it's on Sunday afternoons.
Okay.
I think it's from like 1 to 3 East Coast time or something like that. I think it's that. And it starts in August, 1 to 3. It starts, let me see, on August, I think it starts on August 4th, the 11th, the 18th, and then the 25th.
Cool.
And will happen, it's done on Zoom, and the first 2 hours, we just talk about the planets.
Yeah.
So the planets are the actors of the zodiac sign, and then we do the zodiac signs. I mean, they're the actors of the astrology wheel, and then the zodiac signs are like the interior decorators or the costume designers.
Okay.
And then we
Cool.
put it all together. It's like the board game Clue. So the board game Clue, you have the board, and then you have those little people, Professor Plum and Colonel Mustard, that land inside these different rooms of a house. And we look at your whole chart as if it comes alive like theater, and then you're able to learn it and keep the wisdom rather than just knowing facts. Astrology, if you try to teach astrology yourself, you will have a very difficult time, because it took me 20 years to get to where I can get you guys in 8 hours.
Wow.
Wow.
What I figured out, probably because I'm super creative, I figured out a way for us to play astrology. So if I say astrology is like music, are you going to learn astrology from reading a book on learn how to play the guitar from reading a book? No. Do you know how hard it would be to learn the guitar from a book?
Right.
You have to play it. So in the Wisdom Academy that I created, we play astrology and it comes alive. And at the end of 4 hours, you will have all the basics and you can re-listen to it as many times as you want. I've had many people take the 101 class 5 times, because every time I do it, it's totally different. I keep it fresh so I don't get bored.
Yeah.
New pictures, new stories. And then all of a sudden you have the knowledge to start interpreting charts after 8 hours. You would know enough to be able to help somebody.
Yeah. And this is a lifetime skill for anyone. I mean, for a practitioner, I think it's especially important, but like for anyone in your life, that just to be able to kind of go around the room and be like, okay, I get all these people now who I'm living with. Like,
Can't
you know?
imagine not hiring someone without looking at their chart. So I had a
Right.
lot of problems with web designers for a while. And then I was thinking, oh my God, I'm so sick of spending all this money on web designers. And I told someone, I'm just going to go on Fiverr. You guys know what Fiverr is?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I said, I'm going to find a web designer on Fiverr. So I decided not to listen to other people and trust my own intuition, which is a big life lesson for me. And I found this great guy on Fiverr who lives in Bangladesh, and I got his birth info. And I looked at his chart with mine to see, are you going to be okay with me? I've been working with him now for 5 years. I love him.
Oh my God.
He's
Amazing.
fantastic. So you use astrology to make your life easier.
Yep. That's
My
great.
assistant, Lindsay, has been with me for 5 years. She's perfect for me. I love working with her. Her chart is great. She holds space for me and understands my quirkiness. And I need people around me who can help me operate at a higher level. I don't need drama.
Yeah. Ugh,
None of us do. Drama is so bad.
I know. I know. This is amazing. Well, thank you so much,
Oh,
Leslie.
you're welcome.
I feel like I have learned so much today. I'm so excited to
Oh,
learn
you get
more.
all pumped up like, oh my God, I can't wait to get the book. I can't wait. That's what
Yes.
I want.
I
them to
can't
get.
wait. Yeah.
Because guess what? If you get this knowledge, you can have peace of mind and
Right.
direction. And where else can you get that? And isn't
Yeah.
it sad that both of you guys, who are very evolved people about health and everything, people do not understand astrology. They
Yeah.
don't.
Correct. Correct. That's
But
why
anyway,
that's why you
think-
need to come to Boulder Wellness Week.
okay, send me that. I would love to do that.
You're going to come and you should be a speaker there, because you have the entire audience of health, wellness, and biohackers.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you have you already talked to them about it? But whatever, I would love to do it.
I want you to have I am putting together a panel, and I want you on the panel.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. I'm on your panel. Cool. So
You'll
you're
be
the
on my
one doing
panel.
it. All right, cool.
Yes.
I'm all in.
Okay.
I
Awesome.
love it.
All right, cool.
Well,
All right, guys. Thank you
you
so much
again.
for having me. I love talking to you. We'll have to do this again soon.
I know.
Thank you so
Absolutely.
much.
And we'll be in touch. I'm definitely joining the class. So I'm super excited. I
so
cannot wait.
excited. Yay.
Yay.
Love it.
Thank you,
Okay.
Leslie.
Bye, guys.
We
Thank
appreciate
you.
you. We love you. Thank you and we're so
Okay.
grateful for all your knowledge today. And
Thank
we'll
you.
see you next time.
Okay,
Bye,
great.
everybody.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.